Log into fiverr.com. Home. Join. Sign in. Breaking news. Sharing things on Fiverr just got easier. Guests. Graphics and design. Video and animation. Online marketing. Writing and translation. Advertising. Business. Programming and tech. Music and audio. Fun and bizarre. Lifestyle. Other. The Fiverr directory. Home. Recent. Featured. Guests. Graphics and design. Video and animation. Online marketing. Writing and translation. Advertising. Business. Programming and tech. Music and audio. Fun and bizarre. Lifestyle. Other. Blow their mind with an original present. The world's greatest creative talents. No need to fly all the way to Hollywood. Upgrade your business to the...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great show of College Prep Radio. I'm so excited to have you guys with me today. Before we jump into part two of what we've been talking about, is if you do have any questions about today's topic or if you have comments or opinions, definitely feel free to call in on our guest call-in. That's area code 347-857-4638. My name is Ashley Hill. I am your college success coach, and I am the host of College Prep Radio. And real quickly, I just want to go over really what the purpose of our show is. And the purpose, parents, is to give you resources and other supporting family members, is to give you resources, to, interview experts, to give you other insight, and also, for me to offer guidance and tips to you as well so that you can truly be a supportive network for your teens, cousins, nephews, grandkids, perhaps, that are preparing to go to college and really life beyond that. And so that's really the purpose and why we do this each week. So, again, thank you so much for listening into the show today. Also, please note that each show is archived on Blog Talk Radio, and also you can listen through iTunes. So I definitely encourage you to listen to my previous shows to get even more college prep resources for you and your teams. So, again, definitely feel free to call in and ask questions. I'll give the number one more time. That's area code 347-857-4638. So today we have another great show. If you had a chance to catch me last week, we were talking about helping your teams develop effective leadership skills. And I throw that word effective in there because, as parents, we have leaders, in our world, in our cities, in our neighborhoods, in our churches, corporations, or what have you. They're not effective. They're leaders. They're in that position, but they're not effective. And so I want to really get into helping your teams and loved ones going to college to really help them to own these skills, right now. And that goes from whether they're in 7th grade all the way up to the senior year in high school. It's definitely important to develop these skills, and it's kind of two point of views here. The immediate need is that college admission staff, they're looking for leaders. They're looking to bring leaders onto their campus where they can educate them, get them around, again, another supportive network of, the career services, what have you, the professors, the different researchers on campus, and really prepare them to go out into society, with their education in hand, refine skills, certain skill sets that they'll need to be successful in their professional lives. But also, a consequence of that, a good consequence of that, is that in their personal life, when they're really aligned and they know who they are, they're effective leaders, on the job or in a meeting or what have you, they're going to be able to bring those skills home and, amongst their families and, again, in their personal lives. So it's very, very important to be a leader. Now, what started this whole conversation for me is every Friday I do a Q&A day on our Facebook page, Prep the Number 4 College. And a parent had asked about, okay, yes, it's important for my child to be a leader, but what if they're not in a leader capacity right now at school? And what she was referring to is, let's say that she was a part of a club, but she wasn't the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, someone with a, stated role. And I really love that question because it's true. A lot of parents and teens are kind of in that situation. And, there were times that I was a part of clubs in high school, and I I may not have been the president, but I had to find a way to use my strengths and to develop my leadership skills where I was in whatever position, whether I was assisting one of them or I was on a different committee, So it doesn't matter whether you're the president or not of a club. I think it's so important for parents to really encourage and support their teens to be leaders. That's leaders in the classroom. So, aside from extracurricular activities, but that's being a leader right there in the classroom, And so we're going to get into that tonight a little bit more, and also I'm going to throw in there, obviously, the college prep piece because that's very important. Obviously, if your college admission staff are looking for leaders and there are certain things that you need to be mindful of, parents, you can be mindful of so that you can help your teens be aware of when they're filling out and completing their college applications. And I want to kind of recap shortly is I have found a study. It was conducted with a collaboration between Entrepreneur Magazine, I love that magazine, and St. John's University. And the group of professors concluded that college students have a higher chance of being successful in college and in future careers if they are able to, effectively develop their leadership skills. And, of course, I wholeheartedly agree. Going through college myself, I really think I was at an advantage because I had developed my leadership skills, to a point before you go to college. And obviously they're further refined in college because you have multiple opportunities to be a part of different organizations. And it's just on a different level. It's a collegiate level. So it definitely, college, that's one great thing about it is, yes, you're in class and you have that, but you also have opportunities to network with key individuals and leaders of themselves. And you're able to, see how they handle situations and how they lead a group to a common goal successfully. And, you can adopt those skills. But while that's available on the college campus, why not have your teens being prepared now? That's only going to shorten the learning curve for them. So it's a win-win situation, and that's why I'm talking about it now. It's so key. So back to the study. These professors, they concluded that, but specifically they noted several characteristics that I mentioned last time. I want to go over real quickly here. That's being trustworthy, time management skills, being proactive and not reactive, the ability to empower or inspire others on their team, and also the ability to network. They realized from this study that those are key qualities that effective leaders must have, and that these college students truly must have to be successful. And I want to give the definition again. There are many, but this is kind of one that I really like, is successful leaders or effective leaders are able to communicate their vision in such a way that others join them. I mean, that's really the goal there. And as I mentioned, of course, we're going to get into, hear about the college application, but, life after college, your kids are going to have to solve problems on the job, sometimes using their creativity, and they must be able to see ahead and be visionaries to see the big picture, what's up ahead, so that they can, number one, navigate the roadblocks, navigate their team and those under them through the roadblocks, and then number two is to reach a common goal. And even though that's from a professional standpoint, I'm sure you parents can definitely give examples, and you can think of, how this can apply in their personal lives as well. Even how they communicate with you, parents, and how you communicate with them. That right there can be a foundation for a training ground for helping your teens to develop effective leadership skills. So we're going to get into our new content now. But leading into that, we hear the phrase that leaders are born, and I do. I believe that certain students, they just, develop at different paces and in different ways, and they may show leadership skills early. But regardless of the pace or the methodology or maybe they're more outspoken in class or what have you, I think that every individual must develop leadership skills. You're not born the perfect leader. Even effective leaders that we all know in our world today, they still make mistakes, they have successes and failures, but it's how you approach those, and it's how you deal with the aftermath of a decision, whether it's a failure or a success. So I think every person definitely needs to be an effective leader, adults included. Okay, so I want to get into specifically the college prep process, what's the correlation. So as I mentioned earlier, college admissions for officials, they're looking at all these applications, and mind you, millions, and you have to think that's including international students that are applying, as well as with, your teams, the local, and then also the out-of-state students. So you have to think about the competition is just it's great. It's a major competition because college, is not only are you receiving a degree, but it's a training ground for you going out into the world. And so, these spots are very competitive, parents. And that's why now, it's not good enough to just have a 3.5, but now they're looking for volunteer hours. They're looking for, do you have internship experience? Did you work a job in high school? Did you maintain good grades while you were juggling, maybe an extracurricular activity? So it's more than, what it used to be. And it's changed even since I've been out of college a few years here. So with that said, parents, really why I'm really driving this point home with you is because it's something that I like to call, and I talked about it last time, is a partnership model. And I'm going to show you, with each part of this application, that not only obviously your team, the applicant is responsible for developing leadership skills ultimately, but parents, you can be a model for them, as you come home from work or as you deal with different things within the household affairs. I'm going to get into those qualities here. Is, how are you approaching situations? How are you resolving situations? What's your attitude? Are you on time to work? That's a big one for us. Some people are just, it's just a habit of being late everywhere. But if you develop that habit, parents, your teams are watching. They may not come out and say, Mom, I see you're late all the time. Dad, you're always late. But they're watching that. And we know, an effective leader must be on time. I mean, that's just key. That's a really basic one, but it is very key. So actually, parents, I'm going to give you an activity a little bit later here where you can actually work with your teams and you guys can work through this. And, ultimately, I would love to see parents and teams developing together if need be, really. Because, like I said, we all, can definitely improve and further develop our leadership skills. So the first part is, obviously, it's the application. I just mentioned a big one. It's completing it on time. I had the great opportunity to work with the admission staff when I was in college at Kent State University, and they would tell me so many stories of teams would send in their applications late, and it doesn't matter if it was a day late or a month late. And I guess when I say late, I mean you're thinking, wait a second, there's not really, there's open, you can send your applications within an open frame. Well, yes, parents, that's true, but you have to think about a few things. Number one, there is an ultimate deadline. There is. You can check on the websites of the different colleges. They will have a deadline. But number two, you have to think about something else. Scholarships, financing college. If you're waiting to the last second or if you're even past the deadline of sending your applications, what are the odds of you receiving scholarships and grants? Those are first come, first serve. The other thing you have to think about is, if your child is, for example, applying to be a dance major, theater major, sports, any sport, they're considering being a, student athlete, any of those majors or programs with additional application requirements, there's a time frame. And it's a reason for that because, admissions, they're noticing it. The ones that I worked with, they would say, we're not looking at that application. It's late. And I know some people think, well, that's too harsh. But you know what? That's the world that we live in. And, again, parents, this is a training ground for your teams, to be productive citizens and contribute, to our society. So that's why they enforce those deadlines. And so, parents, you can help your teams by, staying on top of them with the application process all the way throughout. Asking them, checking in on them, if need be, help them get a calendar, perhaps help them download an app on their phone, to set an alarm or what have you. But being on time is key. And now, obviously, fast forward 4 or 5 years and they're on a job. All the places that I've worked at, okay, you're late 1 or 2 times, okay. You're late a second or third time, you're not coming back the next day. Now, we know that. So parents, and I work with some, fresh out of college adults right now, and they're struggling with that. because our managers even mentioned it. So it's so important about the time management piece. Also is within that college application, I strongly encourage parents, you need to encourage your teens to demonstrate leadership skills. So let's take the admissions essay. Let's say the question is talk about a memorable moment. You have to be strategic about this, parents, and let your teens know this. They have to be strategic because, everyone's going to have a sob story. Everyone's going to have some, grand story. But your teens have to be different. They need to be themselves, but they need to show their uniqueness. But, this is a great opportunity for them to demonstrate leadership skills. So, for example, let's say you have them involved in a volunteer opportunity, or let's say that they maybe spearheaded a fundraising event for the school, or maybe they raised funds for cancer awareness. Maybe they started a tutoring service, kind of a summer-type job or what have you. Any of those types of opportunities where they're able to display certain skills, leadership skills, is put that into the admissions essay. That will really touch, I believe, and I've seen it, that will really touch the heart and really the minds of that college admissions staff because you're showing them. You're not just telling them. And I think that's a big problem with admissions essays is a lot of students say, well, I am a leader. I am motivated. I am enthusiastic. I am prepared. I communicate well. Okay, you're just listing things. But the staff needs to see, well, how are you doing that? Can you demonstrate that? Demonstrate that. Number 2 is the activities that you pick. I've always recommended no more than 2 or 3 activities, really for a balanced reason, but more so because college admissions are not worried if you're in 5 or 6 clubs. That doesn't faze them. But they're more concerned about are you developing your leadership skills in, 1 or 2, 3 max activities. So, again, back to that mother's question, okay, if you're obviously if you're the president and vice president, you're a leader at that point. But even if you're not, you can be proactive and say, okay, I know we discussed this last week. What materials do we need for this project? Who do we need to get involved? That's being a leader right there, making sure that you're on time, helping solve a problem. Those are different leadership skills that not only can you include in the activity section of the application, but in your admissions essay. Number 3 is your grades. Now, grades comes into the leadership discussion because your grades show your ability. And even if you start off the year, let's say, C average or what have you, if you can show that upward trend that you're taking responsibility, whether that's getting a tutor, cutting back on other activities, if you're taking responsibility, you're being proactive, by anticipating kind of what's coming up next with class, maybe it's your learning style, maybe there's a learning disability in there that needs to be dealt with, what have you. If you're showing that upward trend, that speaks to admissions officials. Now I'm telling you what I've heard from working with them when I was in college. They have admitted students when they can see that upward trend, that you're working hard, you're not giving up. That's what good leaders do. They don't give up. They find a way to solve that problem. They use their creativity and their problem-solving skills to find a way to solve that problem. Also is your letter of recommendations. Parents, when your teens are asking, their teachers or different community members for letters of recommendation, make sure to encourage your teens to tell that teacher or whoever's filling out that form to comment on their leadership skills. Now, obviously, your teens need to be displaying these skills consistently so that their teachers or whomever, they have something to comment on. That can backfire if your teens are not, stepping into, leadership roles or not displaying effective leadership skills. But it's a good thing though, because if you're asking your teacher, which I recommend early in the semester or quarter in high school and middle school, if they're asking their teachers early. In high school, if they're asking their teachers early, that gives them a chance to develop their skills throughout the entire school year. So that can keep your teens accountable. Parents, you can check in. And then also, since the teacher knows that they're going to be writing this letter for you, they're going to be watching as well. So really it's a win-win for everyone involved. So, yes, definitely. And as I mentioned before with the admissions essay, is parents make sure that your teens are asking them to highlight or mention leadership skills. Because, again, this is what, is going to set your teens apart from just everybody else applying for college. Also, the college interview. So, some schools you require an admissions interview. And, let's say, they say, tell me about yourself. That's a common question that I think that a lot of admissions staff are asking now. And here, again, you have to be strategic. You can't just say anything and everything during this interview, because this is another way for the admissions staff to evaluate parents, your teams. So these are some suggestions. They may specifically ask you to go in and discuss your maybe successes, failures, or what have you, but whatever the question is, make sure that you're, again, highlighting how you're a leader, not just saying that, I am a leader, I communicate well, I solve problems, I am creative, I am caring, I am prepared, I can adapt well to different situations. Instead of just listing that, give an example. Give a short example, of how you approach problems, how you work with others, how you resolve conflict during that interview. Because remember, every time that your name comes up, you want the admissions staff to say, hey, we want them, they're leaders, they're going to be successful here at that school, we're going to offer them admission. That's what you want. So you want to display those skills, again, whether that's in the essay, whether that's, just by having good, consistent grades or showing an upward trend if you didn't start off so well. And that's what that's all about. Also, as I've touched on actually earlier, is volunteer programs, extracurricular activities, internships, employment, study abroad programs. These are so vital because they help you develop leadership skills. You're going to be a part of a team in any of these examples. You're going to have to solve problems. You're going to be given a project with a certain timeline. You're going to have to figure out what deadlines in between start to finish to get the project done. You're going to have to know how to communicate with others to figure out what you need, what they need, and how to play off of each other's strengths. All of these skills you develop while you're doing those activities. Beyond that, they look great on your college application, again, because this is a way to demonstrate, parents, this is a way that your teams can demonstrate that they are developing their leadership skills. So with that said, again, I just want to kind of revert back for just a second here. With this partnership model, and I'll explain real quickly, it's the team, the parents, the schools, obviously the teacher, principal, what have you, and the community. All of those parts must come together for teens to really be successful in going to college. I'm a firm believer in that. And so they definitely all must work together. But tonight, parents, I'm going to touch on an activity that you can do with your teens. If I want you, and we're going to put this up on the website shortly here, but I want you to have your teens to sit down and evaluate themselves first, because I think before you can develop their leadership skills, you have to see what's there first. And so I'm going to list this, but again, I'm going to put it up on the website. Number one is your teens are going to ask themselves, am I enthusiastic? Do I have energy, a positive attitude? Am I self-motivated? Am I prepared? Do I communicate well with others? Am I caring? Am I creative in how I approach problems? Am I a problem solver? Do I act in an ethical manner with honesty? Basically, do I have character? Number 8 is, can I easily adapt to change? Number 9, am I reliable? Can others trust me? Do I make good on my promises? Do I stay on task? And the last one, number 10, is, do I work well with others, whether I agree with them or not? Parents, that might be one for you. Do I cooperate well with others? That's very key. So, parents, I want you to have your teams to sit down. I want them to evaluate themselves. And then, parents, you can do this activity as well. And I want you guys to start there. Start at that starting point, and then look for activities at school or in the community, work with the teachers if need be, and see ways that your teens can start, number one, developing the leadership skills that they may not be as strong in. Start there, because if they're already strong in an area, you need to start with where they're not as strong in and then work their way up. So I want you guys to do that activity. And also, let me know. I'm on Facebook. Again, that's PREP, the number 4 college. Let me know. I'm on Twitter. Tell me how the assignment is going. That's PREP, the word 4, PREP, FOR college. Also, you can email me at info@collegeprepready.com. Also, I'm giving you guys tips here every week, but if you would like to work one-on-one with me with your teams to get them ready for college and get a strategy, we do have a brand new program. It's a 6-month coaching program called the Student Executive Academy. and I'll be so happy to work with them. So, again, visit our website. That's collegeprepready.com/WP. That's W for white, P for Paul, WP. Have them to parents. You can go on there, check it out, and fill out the application, and we'll get back with you on that. Also, I have the blog. That's, again, available through the website as well, so you can check out our blog posts. And also, parents, I just want to encourage you. I know that I'm talking about these tips for your teens, but, again, as I mentioned, we all can develop our leadership skills. And so, parents, again, take that assignment as well, and do the assignment with your teens. Or you guys do it apart and come out together and talk about it, and find ways that you guys can kind of work together. Maybe you have similar areas that you both need to work on. It's okay to work together. It's okay to be honest with your teens' parents and let them know, I need to improve in such and such area. And lastly, it's to take advantage of resources. And so I want to give a shout-out to an organization, and that is the Executive Youth Leadership Summit. And their next summit is coming up next year in Washington, D.C. That's on Saturday, May 4th, 2013, and that's from 9 to 3 p.m. And that is hosted by Mrs. Shania Davis Johnson. She's a former congressional staffer, and she started this organization in 2004. And I think it's so important, parents, to take advantage of such opportunities. So, again, it's a 2013 Executive Youth Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. We do have the link up on the website. Check our previous blog, and I did announce it there, so definitely feel free to get in contact with Mrs. Johnson to find out more about the program. Now, I want to encourage you guys to join me back again next week. We're going to get into our Christmas special, so that'll be really exciting and a good talk for sure. And so until then, take care.